Good morning, or afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Salute to my amplified unit. Red team, go! Wake up, and get amplified. It is just past 4 a.m., and it's a travel day for BC, but there's nothing else I'd rather be doing beforehand than shooting the shit with my amp unit and talking that pro wrestling. Smackdown 7/23/2021. We're gonna talk about it. WWE pulls the swerve. John Cena out. Finn Balor in. You could bet your ass we're gonna talk about it. But this cold open is dedicated to The Rock. And the big news coming out that it looks like Vince McMahon is taking his big Los Angeles, his big Hollywood WrestleMania 39 main event, Rock versus Roman Reigns. Because you knew from the jump it was happening. Everything was sitting perfectly in their lap. Los Angeles was already called as the destination for 39. That's The Rock's home now, Hollywood. And his family has been overtaken by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns claims he is the breadwinner of the entire family. He is the tribal chief. He is the head of the table. As if he's forgotten all about cousin Dwayne. Because you know that's the trajectory that Roman Reigns is on. Tear through everybody on that roster, maybe twice. Sprinkle in a legend here and there, take care of your business, and Roman Reigns, week by week, show by show, continues and showcases that dominance until one son of a bitch arises that claims he's the real tribal chief of the family. He's the real head of the table of the family. He's the real breadwinner of the family, and his name is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. The story is sitting in their lap, and what better place than WrestleMania 39, Los Angeles, Hollywood, with Mr. Hollywood, The Rock. Again, the story is sitting in their lap. Did you forget who took the family name, who took the family in the dynasty and took it to the next level? Who took it Hollywood and beyond? It was me, Roman. But Roman is acting like The Rock doesn't even exist. This is the perfect storyline, perfect location. The Rock and Roman have already both teased a future match. This wasn't just wishful thinking. This wasn't just a dream match that we all would love to see. No, they have already started to tease that match. But now it looks like Vince McMahon is altering those plans and pulling the rug out from underneath everybody's initial thinking. It's not going to be 39 anymore. Vince McMahon wants it as soon as possible. Vince McMahon wants this son of a bitch to go off at WrestleMania 38. Well, by BC's calculations, and I do run on Steiner math, so it may not be the most accurate, but according to my Steiner math, that's 365 days earlier than the supposed original plans. Is that enough time for Roman to continue that dominance? Well, hell, if you're asking BC, he's already established the dominance. Everything for Roman here on out is icing on the cake. There's plenty of time for him to continue one dominant victory after one dominant victory. But it would have been damn cool, epic, to see Roman Reigns stroll into 39 still with that championship intact. Shades of the old school Bob Backlunds, or the Bruno Sammartinos, or even Hulk Hogan, when these wrestlers would hold that title not just for weeks or months, but for years. And Roman Reigns has brought a certain level of prestige back to that championship. But it looks like Vince McMahon wants to fast track this huge dream match an entire year, fast track it an entire WrestleMania sooner. And he wants to start, the current plan that we're hearing is that he wants to start at this year's Survivor Series. where The Rock is now in talks with Vince McMahon to bring Dwayne Johnson back at this year's Survivor Series, which again, according to my Steiner math, is just over 16 weeks away. 4 months from now, we could be seeing The Rock return to WWE. Vince McMahon wants to have this big ordeal because it's the 25-year anniversary of The Rock's debut. Of course, 96 at the Survivor Series, and that was Madison Square Garden, New York City. Well, here we are 25 years later, and the venue for this year's Survivor Series is New York City. It is Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. So here we are with this quarter-century milestone, 25 full years later after your debut, and that same event happens to be in the same exact city that you debuted in, New York City. Different borough, same city, and Vince McMahon feels like this is the best script to be written because it's sitting in his lap. So he's going to have The Rock come back and have this big celebration. And that's where he's going to have to come face to face with Roman Reigns, who feels like he should not be there. He is now the tribal chief. He is the breadwinner. And The Rock is going to look at this dude like he done lost his damn dome piece. Do you know what I've been doing for the past 10 years plus? The fuck you talking about the past 15 years plus? You're the head of the table? I'm running circles around you on a much larger scale and stage, buddy. And Roman Reigns is like, not in this ring. This is my world now. Obviously, the script writes itself. It's been sitting in the old bastard in Stamford, Connecticut's lap since day one. We know this works. The question is, was another year added on to Roman Reigns' dominance needed? How much more epic would another year of waiting have been? We'll never know, because this looks pretty accurate that The Rock and Vince McMahon are indeed in talks. I can't believe it's been 25 years. Damn! Does time fly? I still remember Rocky Maivia. As much as you try to forget about it, Amp Unit, you know damn well you remember Rocky Maivia's debut 25 years ago, Madison Square Garden, Survivor Series, New York City. I don't know what this dude was wearing. It looked like he raided Mama Rock's curtains and tried to put those some bitches through a paper shredder. I'm sure The Rock wants a do-over on his debut. Right up there with the fanny pack. 25 years later, man, and it looks like Vince wants to make this big hoopla with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan signing with AEW, and Brock Lesnar still has not signed on with WWE. All this uncertainty, you have fans that have been running away from this company for years now. Vince feels that there is no more time to be wasted, and it looks like the most accurate information that we have received within the last 48 hours, it looks like, and don't be shocked at all if The Rock comes back for Survivor Series this year and starts this feud with Roman Reigns, that'll take us into WrestleMania 38. And at that point, we all have to have the serious talk. Does The Rock walk away with that championship? Or does Roman Reigns reign supreme and literally become the tribal chief of the family? Does that torch in that way need to be passed? Just thinking about the talk in the pro wrestling world come WrestleMania time. For that match, man, everybody is going to have their own belief system and way to go about business. What's best for the company? What's best for each individual? What's right and wrong? Oh, the pro wrestling world is going to be on fire for that match and entire feud. So I'm looking forward to it. I was okay with 39. To be honest, I'm going to be okay with 38 as well. It's just, how do you go about this, man? This needs to go off without a hitch. This needs to be near perfection. The story, the match, and the repercussions from whatever decisions are being made. That's what BC is thinking about, man. The creator in BC is thinking, damn, you could go so many ways. I have The Rock winning the championship. I have The Rock being the guy that finally ends the reign of Roman Reigns. Because it's the best of both worlds, I feel. I think that that's the way The Rock should ride off into the sunset. One last culminating moment in his last match. That definitely should be his last match. And he's holding that championship up high, man. The John Elway moment, right? I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. And unfortunately, this moment will always... I'll never be able to shake this moment. And that's when the Denver Broncos defeated my Packers in the Super Bowl. And John Elway defeated Brett Favre. And I'll never forget John Elway's performance. And he rode off into the sunset. Man, that was his last game ever. Was the Super Bowl. And he held that trophy up high. I just feel like The Rock deserves that moment. And I would have, not only would Roman Reigns in my world not lose anything, but the very next day, I would have Roman Reigns completely tear apart his cousin, destroy his cousin to where he can never, storyline-wise here, stick with me, storyline-wise, he can never compete again. Making sure that that was indeed his last match, and at least he got to hold that championship up high. And now, 24 hours later, we now have an even more diabolical, a more cerebral assassin-type-like figure in Roman Reigns. His heel level status just went up an entire 4 levels. You could make Roman Reigns even more badass from this loss. That's what I mean, everybody wins. You have that WrestleMania moment for The Rock, his very last match, his last culminating moment, his goodbye to WWE. And the very next night, you don't even have to have somebody beat him for it. You don't have to have him forfeit it. You have Roman Reigns. You have Roman Reigns literally take his career. I mean, if that doesn't make you one of the most bona fide heels of all time, then I don't know what's going to. You just ended The Rock's career. I don't care if it's a tournament or Roman gets an automatic fucking title match because he was the last one with the title before The Rock got it. But Roman Reigns gets that championship right back. Everybody wins here. And you have this motherfucker starting another entire reign, and this one's even more badass because he's more diabolical. I want this dude to be even worse than what Triple H was in his heel run. I know that's hard to do in 2021, 2022 going forward, but find your ways, get creative. Anyway, that's BC, man, putting on his creative cap. I'm sure you guys would have a lot of fun trying to book this shit. And if you have Roman keep this thing through 38, it should be a young up-and-comer that beats Roman Reigns. I guess you could go that route. But you got to remember, guys, it's not just about keeping the title, you know? It's not just about... Roman's already established. I love making the title prestigious. Trust me, I love seeing somebody hold that thing not just for weeks and months, but now we're into the years we're talking. I love that. But you also have to keep things fun and fresh. Sometimes, storyline-wise, it makes sense if you do something wacky, crazy, ludicrous, like drop the title for a day, take out the career. Take the career of the dude that just beat you and get that title right back. Now, that dude no longer has a career because he can no longer compete forever, and you got your title right back. Yeah, who's laughing last? Who's at the top of the mountain when it's all said and done? You know, you got to make it fun. You got to make it fresh. You got to be creative. Just having a title on somebody just because you want it for a long time? Well, if you're not creating captivating television and if shit isn't fun and intriguing, then it's all for nothing in the end. Because you're not doing Roman any service. He's already established. So if you keep this title on Roman is what I'm saying. Come 38 and he defeats The Rock. I'm cool with that. But you better have your trajectory mapped out, man. You better have somebody in line to beat him. You can't just wing this because Vince McMahon will ruin every up-and-comer, especially if they're from NXT. If Vince McMahon hears they're from NXT, which is basically everybody these days before they get to the roster, then Vince McMahon's going to destroy you. He calls it humbling them. So they know that the main roster, It's not the same as NXT. What you got away with in NXT. You thought you were this big superstar in NXT. Vince wants to humble you down. He wants to break you down. What Vince doesn't realize is what he's really doing is he's embarrassing the individual, and he's actually ruining them in the eyes of the pro wrestling world. We just saw it with Karrion Kross. Keith Lee, that's been being done. Andrade and Aleister Black, don't even get me started on them. Finn Balor is now back. Last night, he was in a prominent role. A few years before that, Vince didn't even have a place for him. He actually had to send him back to NXT. There was no place for him on the main roster, so Triple H is like, dude, he's got nothing for you over there. I would love to have you in NXT. And they set up something. But that's Finn Balor, bro. How do you ruin that shit? Shinsuke Nakamura, Asuka. You thought they'd have so much more by now on the main roster. And Vince McMahon just does not like this whole NXT model. I don't know if in the process, I believe he's trying to teach Triple H a lesson. Forget the wrestlers. I think he's trying to bring Triple H, down 7-8 pegs. And what it's doing is it's just ruining everything because Triple H has created something really cool down there in NXT, man. I wish that Vince saw that the vision and how it could help the main roster. And Vince just feels like he has to ruin these individuals going for. I don't know. I don't know how I got on that. So, oh yeah, who the fuck beats Roman in the future? Do we just wing it? If he beats The Rock, are we just gonna say, somebody will come around, somebody will come along down the line, and he'll be big enough and more believable, and he'll beat Roman? I hope you're right. Because if we just have the dude with the belt, just because it's cool to have him with the belt for that amount of length of time, and just because it builds prestige, I'm telling you, the product, Roman Reigns, is going to become stale. I think The Rock, man, I think we have to do something really wild with this. And I think my way of booking keeps everything fun, fresh, and makes everybody, it puts them in the best of light. Everybody wins, man. I don't see any losers in that type of booking, but we'll see what they come up with. But anyway, guys, that's Rock coming back this year, not next year, to set up 39. It's going to be at Survivor Series, and that's going to set up their match at 38. I'm looking forward to it either way, man, because that's one of those dream matches where, fuck, do you know how much fun you could have with the story alone? And then I honestly believe the match would be awesome. And on top of that, man, whatever movie deal that Rock finds himself in, sometimes there are those liability clauses, man. Legally, that production, there's too much money on the line. They will not have The Rock wrestle because he could get injured. So do they work out a deal where they could absolutely do a schmaz, man? So yeah, you still get the family feud, but you got the Usos involved. The Rock finds himself with a couple of people, and this helps out production. It keeps them happy. Okay, it's not one-on-one. There's less chance to get injured because they know what happened when The Rock took on John Cena at WrestleMania many years ago. The Rock got hurt pretty damn bad in that match. And production has too much money on the line. They're not just going to let this dude go out there for 20 minutes and risk all that injury or any injury. So they could work out a deal where, hey, if there's many people in the match, like a tag match or a six-man schmaz, The Rock isn't in there all that much. Some kicks, some punches, limited wrestling. I hope they don't go that route, man, because there's too much, man. This is its own Hollywood movie. Rock versus Roman Reigns. If Vince shells out enough cash, I really hope The Rock just carves out this time to do this the right way, one-on-one. Nobody wants to see a tag match with The Rock and Roman. Nobody, man. And if that's your WrestleMania match, that is going to be a complete letdown. But there is that possibility because there's greater forces at play. And those forces are literally Hollywood, production. And you don't fuck with that legalities. When production says something, when they say jump, you say how high. You don't ask questions. You don't think twice about it, man. Production will always have the last say because there's so many tens of millions of dollars on the line. in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars. When you talk about what a box office attraction can actually bring in, you're talking way too much money on the line. These motherfuckers will not let you do something like compete one-on-one in a wrestling match for 20 plus minutes. Anyway, we'll see. Just wanted to let you guys know the latest deal, man. The Rock, it's looking like this year at Survivor Series, Vince sees this big 25-year anniversary as a celebration point and the perfect way to kickstart this. And I think with all that's going on in pro wrestling, man, with CM Punk, Daniel Bryan going to AEW, Brock Lesnar not signing, fans kind of still iffy on should they show up to arenas or not. There's so much uncertainty that Vince is looking at this moment, right? SummerSlam to bring back John Cena. Survivor Series, we're going to bring back The Rock. I'm BC Amplified. I'm going to be your host and reviewer for Smackdown 7/23/2021. I'm going to get a swig of coffee here. I got to wait till I get my Dunkin', man. This is from the El Cribbo. This is a pre-packaged mocha. It's so damn early, Dunkin' wasn't even open, so I had to bring the prepackaged. So I'm going to down this mocha, and we're going to talk some 7/23/2021 SmackDown, man. The swerve that WWE pulled, Cena out, Finn Balor. But is that really what's going down for SummerSlam? We'll talk all about it right now. All right. John Cena starts this show middle of the ring cutting a promo. We basically get 10 minutes of fluff. No real substance here. It's the same old John Cena. He can talk for 10 minutes while saying nothing at all. That's not shade to John Cena. It's good to have him back. I've never been a big John Cena fan, but it's good to see him back, no doubt, man. I just prefer serious John Cena, man. What we got, like, right, because there's different John Cenas. There's serious John. There's Goofy John. There's Cheerleader John. Last night was some of that Cheerleader John, where he's just trying to hype up the crowd and talking about how electric Cleveland is and how this is SmackDown. Can you feel it? You know, and he just does that for like 5 minutes, and it's like, stop, bro. If you're going to cut a damn good, solid promo and you have something awesome planned for this segment and for that show, the fans will be eating out of your hand. If you got to force this electricity that just isn't there, then, you know, you're doing things wrong, man. I don't know. I hate when John Cena just comes out there and he just plays cheerleader for the first several minutes. When anybody does that, I can't stand it. John Cena, he will pander like nobody else, man. And that's one of the reasons why I never fully connected with John Cena. You know, you could tell he's just such a company dude to the point where it can be nauseating. It just can be. It's great to be a company dude and do all the right things for the company. That's awesome. But most of it should be behind the scenes. We don't need you to come out and totally shill all over the company. Totally just stroke the balls of this company. Anyway, I don't know, man. I never know what John we're going to get. And I always hope for serious John. We didn't get it last night. We got all the Cena-isms. Cleveland is feeling it tonight. Let's get loud. Welcome to SmackDown. We got a little bit of someone needs to step up to Roman, and I'm that guy. Again, it's a typical Cena promo. He can speak for 10 minutes, and you don't really get any substance out of it. Paul Heyman hits the top of the ramp. He tells Cena that Roman will respond to his challenge when, and only when, he is ready. And on Heyman's way back... On the way back stage, man, Paul Heyman actually starts mocking John Cena's theme music. And the way he did it was great. I love this version. He's like, do 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 do, do 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 do, do 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 do. Man, if you did LOL, check the old polls, man. You can tell John Cena, you know internally he was already probably LOLing, man. Because that was a legit LOL moment, man. Paul Heyman caught us all off guard. You're lying to yourself if you expected something like that out of Paul Heyman last night. Or ever. So even though this segment didn't captivate BC to watch a 2-hour wrestling show, I'm going to wait 2 hours because Roman's going to respond to John Cena, man. Give me something more. We're live. right? As John Cena said, it's SmackDown. We're on Fox. We're live across the world. It's Cleveland. Come on, man. You're hyping all this up, and all we get is Roman will respond when he's ready. So this didn't captivate BC. So it was awesome to see a moment like Paul Heyman mocking John Cena's entrance theme. At least that got some emotion out of BC. I had a good LOL moment before we went to break. But that was your first segment, man. Nothing too much other than Paul Heyman mocking Cena's entrance theme. There was nothing literally else to talk about here. Roman's gonna respond to John Cena later in the night. Okay, we were expecting it at the beginning. Now we have to wait 2 hours for it. That doesn't, it's not a cliffhanger. That doesn't get people intrigued. But whatever, man. And they would end up doing a swerve at the end anyway. We'll talk about that when we reach the second hour. Just after the main event match. But the first match of the night was actually Prince Finn Balor. That's right. The Prince moniker is what he's going by. But not Prince Devitt. It's Prince Balor. It's funny because they don't acknowledge that though, right? Acknowledge me. They don't acknowledge the Prince. So the Prince is up on the Tron, the big giant screen. You see Prince everywhere. But I don't think they've called him Prince Finn Balor yet, correct? I don't think Michael Cole has even uttered the word Prince with Finn Balor in his presence. Anyway, Balor takes on Sami Zayn. This was a good opening match, not to the degree of their IC title match in 2019. But for the time that they were allotted, they had Cleveland rocking. That's what I mean. You don't need to pander to Cleveland. You just need to give them some good content. Sami Zayn and Balor did exactly that. Finn just returned, so there was no way this dude was taking an L, and he didn't. Balor hit coup de grace from the top, and he got all of it too, man. Zayn gets the wind knocked out of his sail, and he can't kick out. Balor grabs the W. I think that's the right call. Sucks seeing Sami Zayn lose all these matches, but if you're going to put him in there with somebody like Balor that just returned, this was the only outcome that could have been made. Then we get an odd, typical WWE segment that followed with Big E giving some words on his big Money in the Bank victory last Sunday. We get some "You Deserve It" chants cascading at him from Cleveland. I thought that was fucking awesome because he does deserve it. And I hate that word deserves in pro wrestling because today's fan thinks that everybody deserves everything. If you just show up to the company, you deserve a title. If somebody likes you, right? If a fan just likes you, if they're a fan of you, they think you deserve a championship. Not, I would like you to have a championship because I'm a fan of yours. No. Because I'm a fan of yours, you deserve a championship. Never mind the guy's been on the roster maybe for a week, 2 weeks at that point, whoever said person is. Their favorite has just arrived. Damn it, they deserve a championship. Right? So, I remember Mansoor, man. There's so many examples of this, but I remember Mansoor. They were doing one of those special shows. One of those, like, Saudi shows. And Mansoor he had his, like, first match to the general audience, right? Because, again, this was like a pay-per-view type show. So everybody is just now seeing Mansoor that didn't know about this dude. And immediately after his first performance, everybody, that's an exaggeration. So many people were taken to the comment sections of dirt sheets or on social media or message boards. And everybody was talking about how Mansoor deserves a championship in the near future. And I was like, what the? The dude just had his first big match for the general public on a pay-per-view. For the WWE audience at large. How the fuck you gonna tell me this dude now deserves a championship match? Anyway, that's a side rant. Fans have to relax. It's cool to be a fan of somebody. That doesn't mean they should be thrusted in the championship matches, much less win a championship. Not everybody deserves everything. That's a side rant. Because when we say you deserves it, when we say you deserve it to somebody like Big E, I can fucking speak. I need another coffee. You deserves it. When we say you deserve it to somebody like Big E, man, it's authentic. He actually does deserve this type of a victory. So that's why that chant was so special. And that's why we have to be careful when we chant things, because those words do matter to these individuals, man. And that's why things like, this is awesome, we can't say this is awesome for every decent match. Or because they had a good 90-second sequence, we start yelling, this is awesome. Not everything is awesome, man. What happened to good? Great comes way before awesome. Right? This is great. I don't care if it doesn't flow. You went right to awesome? What the hell is after awesome? Epic? That's it? Anyway, you get BC side ranting and I'll go on and on, man. I just, it was cool to hear him get those chants, but sometimes we do them so much, I wonder if these wrestlers even take it to heart anymore. Or do they just laugh at the fans backstage, you know? All we gotta do is this, and we'll get these chants. Anyway, Big E's out there, man, giving his words. He's getting some love from the audience at hand. And then Apollo comes out with Commander Sneeze. Then Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode file out. Then Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Then Cesaro files out. And you have all these dudes out there, they start brawling, and BC don't have a flying fucking clue why they're even fighting. Is it because they're pissed at Big E for winning the briefcase? Is it because they want Apollo's championship? I mean, this was grade A dumb. Big E was just out there giving a victory speech. What the fuck is everybody... Okay, so Apollo comes out to talk shit because he had a little bit of a feud with Big E, alright? Why is everyone else coming down? Everybody was just waiting by the curtain? Just doesn't make any sense, man. Why is everybody brawling? It was almost like they had nothing, and it's not almost, I know exactly what this was. They had nothing for any of these individuals. They tried to find a way within a 2-minute period to use all of these individuals, so this is the wacky, stupid, nonsensical, ludicrous circus sideshow shit they came up with. It's the truth. Hour number 1 ends with SmackDown's second location at Rolling Loud. This is a festival held in the music industry. I think it's more geared toward hip-hop rap. I don't know much about Rolling Loud. I've never attended one. I never watched one on a pay-per-view or seen a stream or even a video. I don't know exactly what it is. But I know that WWE should not have been there, judging by the reaction they got. I know that they now know that's a big mistake. But at least it's exposure. If you can get anything out of this, maybe you got some eyeballs there, man. I know there was some fans for sure. And I know that there's a lot of people that were not fans that were watching those matches. Now, whether that drew them into WWE to watch long term, or whether they were just laughing at the product, I have no idea. But I know that that's not the reaction that these wrestlers were probably hoping for. But BC and many others could have told you that's the reaction they were going to get. Anyway, they had a ring on this giant stage. So just picture like what musicians would be performing at like Woodstock or something like that. There was a ring on a stage. And they were wrestling for what is a music crowd. It was awkward. I mean, it was cool, the visuals on some angles. Like when they were showing the ring with the crowd behind, like the stage with the crowd behind, and they're wrestling and you got this whole crowd. That was a cool visual. Then there was a camera shot where they were showing it like if you were looking at the stage and there was just nobody, obviously. It was just like a little bit of a Tron. And that's it. It almost looks like there's nobody. It looks like you were back in the Thunderdome, honestly. And because the audience wasn't really captivated by what they were witnessing, that you didn't really get a... I don't know, man. This was awkward. I mean, you had some cool visuals, but it was mostly awkward. The match here, this was Chad Gable versus Dawkins. This was one of 2 matches that they actually had from this Rolling Loud. Dawkins versus Gable. The match was beyond forgettable. Dawkins simplistically pins Gable. And if you're somebody who's not a fan, and this was being performed in front of you, this would not attract BC to watch your product going forward. Nothing Dawkins and Gable did in that ring made me go, wow, this is awesome. I have to start watching. So in that aspect, I don't think WWE succeeded in what they're trying to do. Attract new fans? I don't see how you did that with this matchup. Now, they would have one more matchup there. It was the start of the second hour, and that was Bianca Belair versus Carmella. This was a rematch from just last week for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This match was made 5 minutes and produced the exact same result as last week. So what the fuck was the point of it? Bianca hits KOD and pins Carmella, retaining her title in the process. This is precisely why I had concerns with this rematch from the jump. They actually did good last week with this match. Bianca and Carmella did good last week. Why ruin a good thing? Or why run something good into the ground? This is exactly why fans get pissed off at WWE for always having rematches. There's never a reason. Never a reason. If you have a rematch and it builds to something even bigger, either between those individuals or others, so the rematch is a vehicle for something bigger and better, then I understand. I still don't need to see 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 rematches, because that's what WWE does, but at least we'll understand more because we're getting better in the future. But these are for no reason. The same result as last week. KOD, that's it. Nothing happens afterwards. Bianca just retains. This week, 7 days later, KOD, nothing afterwards. Bianca just retains. Nothing progressed. There was no story being told. This was literally a rematch for no reason. And this is why fans are pissed off. And you wonder why, man. This is just one of many reasons why fans are pissed off with WWE, more specifically Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But I'm giving you facts, guys. It's not just it's a rematch, right? So a fan could just be like, oh, just relax. It's a rematch. So what? Rematches happen. Yes, but have a point for them. You say they happen. It's not like they had a match and then 7 months later there's another one. Or a year later, right? We're talking 1 week after Carmella failed in getting that championship. She gets another title shot, and the match goes off the same exact way. The only difference, it's even less time, and the match is nowhere near what they pulled off last week. That's what I mean about ruining a good thing. You had a decent match last week. Carmella wins even though Carmella lost that match last week, Carmella actually has a little bit of a victory in defeat. Because she looked good in that son of a bitch. She could easily rebound from that loss. Heels can always rebound much quicker than a face. Obviously, Bianca was going to keep that championship anyway. Everybody wins in that match last week. After last night, you just made Carmella look like a complete fucking buffoon. Losing even less time now, the same exact way, no improvement. Storyline-wise, match-wise anyway, skill set-wise, you basically showcased no improvement. That's not shade to Carmella because she has been improving every week. But the way that this match was produced and booked, you made Carmella to look like a buffoon. I'm not sure what Bianca gains from this at all, by the way. Bianca Belair wins the same exact way over the same opponent that she won last week. This does nothing but put a match in front of the crowd at Rolling Loud. Who are you attracting, though? Who are you attracting? Because judging by that crowd, I didn't see people oohing and on and wowed by this at all, man. So these two matches at Rolling Loud, BC calls them failures. That may seem harsh, but my job on these reviews is to be as honest as possible, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to bullshit. This isn't the channel. You know, there's many people that probably do that in this community on this platform. I'm not going to do that, man. I don't know how many times I have to say that in every video. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be as full throttle honest as possible and amplified, or I'm not going to have the channel. Honesty comes first. These two matches were a failure. You had a chance to captivate people and gain new eyes to your product. You failed to do it, Vince. Maybe it was a good concept. That's in the eye of the beholder, but I know the execution was failed. Backstage, broke Baron Corbin is trying to panhandle money out of Kevin Owens. Actually, just asking for money from Kevin Owens. Not even panhandling, because panhandling would involve that you have a talent and you want people to drop a buck in your guitar case or some shit. No, he was just asking Kevin Owens for money, for cash. So, Kevin Owens actually feels bad for Broke Baron, so he gives him his last $80 in his wallet. And then he walks off. Now, Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox show up in a freaking tank backstage, and they just shoot a Nerf rocket into Broke Baron's balls. I know, this sounds crazy. It's WWE. Honestly, sometimes I watch it, most of the time, when I'm watching WWE and I'm doing my notes, I think, how the fuck do I review this segment? How do I possibly put into words what I just witnessed? That's what BC does on most segments. You picture BC doing notes on a Monday night? Yeah, that's exactly how I watch most segments. I think, how the fuck do I put what I just watched into words? When you see Ninja Tozawa being chased by 37 catering crusaders. Like, how do you put that into words? When you see dancing bunnies. When you see people throwing pancakes and having water gun fights. When you see a debuting superstar named Doudrop and Nikki Ashhole. She's almost a superhero. Like, all of these things, guys, I have to put into words somehow for you, for thousands of people. You know, people think this is easy. It's not so easy. So here we have a tank backstage, and Shotzi and Tegan Nox, for some reason, are just riding around in a tank backstage, and they shoot a Nerf rocket into the balls of Broke Baron. Baron is down on the floor, clutching his ball sack. Ziggler and Rude storm in and steal the $80, and they run off, so he gets pickpocketed as he's down and out. Owens runs back to the aid of Broke Baron. I can't believe I just reviewed that. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say you laughed at it. BC, I didn't mind that, man. It was funny. I get it. I can't say I hated it, per se. I just don't know. I don't know if I have a 2-hour program and I'm the creator. I'm telling you right now, man, this isn't playing Monday morning quarterback. This isn't patting myself on the back. This isn't anything to do with ego. I'm telling you right now, I would produce 1,000,000%. Now, that's a big percent, right? Do your Steiner math. 1,000,000 is a big number. 1,000,000% I would produce better content than segments like that. I just would. So if you found that funny, that's great. I can make you laugh even more organically and much harder. Then fucking Shotzi and Tegan shooting. They just debuted 2 weeks ago, and this is what they're doing now. This is how they're being penciled into the show. And there's people thinking that's the best. But BC, it's fine, man. It's not about doing better than that. That's fine booking. How is that fine booking? They just debuted and they already have nothing for them. If this is 2 weeks after their debut, what do you think they're going to be in 2 months? Forget about 2 years. Vince is probably going to release them both by 2 years. But in 2 months, where do you see Shotzi and fucking Tegan? They're already backstage riding around in a tank shooting Nerf fucking rockets at people's balls. I think long-term, man, I'm always 10 steps ahead of everybody else because I have to be. Because Vince McMahon in this company isn't going to be. They don't give a fuck about the future or to think about what's happening with everybody. Somebody's got to do it. BC will be that fucking dude. Anyway. Broke Baron had $80 and then he lost $80, man. So now Owens and Broke Baron are out of $80. Ziggler and Rude, this is going to set up a tag match, obviously, and this is going to, as we've said in the past, this is it's a slow burn to make Broke Baron a face. So, I'll tell you this, man, this is the best version of Baron Corbin that I've ever seen. As far as caring about this dude, because King Corbin and regular Baron Corbin, when he first arrived, I was just not on board. I was just not captivated, and this is no shade to Baron. I don't mind Baron. I think he's a decent wrestler too, by the way. I just couldn't connect with anything he was doing. I actually like this character a lot, man. So some people are pissed off that he's turning face. But let's be honest, he had nothing going for him as a heel. No matter which variation of a heel they had him play, it just wasn't working. So at least try something different, right? I mean, this is worth the effort, and this is actually the best Baron that I have seen. And he's playing it well, too. I don't know about the Nerf rocket to the balls situation, but he's taking everything that he's being given, and he's turning it into gold, I believe. He's doing the best work that he can possibly do with this character. And for the first time in Baron Corbin's career for BC, I'm actually into it. Edge and Seth Rollins, you talk about character development, man. Seth Rollins went from just annoying to actually good annoying. Like, he's playing this heel character really good as of late. It's almost like a Joker type character, and he's got his own spin and twist on it. This was Edge and Seth Rollins in a face-to-face promo, middle of the ring. They were both brilliant. When it comes to storytelling, Edge is picking up right where he left off many years ago. A sense of believability and realism that only somebody like Edge can bring to the table, to be honest. I mean, there's not many dudes that can bring that type of believability and realism in their promos, in their words, and you're actually feeling it at home. Edge is one of those dudes, and it's a rarity. I don't know who else you could even put. You can't fill up a whole hand. You can't think of 5 dudes right now on that roster that captivate promo-wise like Edge. You cannot think of 5 dudes. I don't even know. You'd be hard-pressed to think of 3 dudes that can fire that mic up like Edge. On the flip side, as I just aforementioned, Seth Rollins is the perfect yin to the yang, the perfect antagonist, and the perfect relentless villain to play opposite of Edge right now, heading into SummerSlam. So this was a great tease to get us to SummerSlam. There was a little bit of physicality, just a little bit, but still more to be desired is what they left us with. So I like this, man. Edge went to spear Rollins, but Rollins was able to escape, and you just know it's not done yet, and I'm fine with that because I'm loving this feud right now. Just like I knew I would with Edge and Roman, Edge and Seth, not just makes sense, but you just know it's going to be absolute fire, and it is. Man, Edge is just rolling on all cylinders. You know, it's amazing that he still has some haters in the community. It's amazing that some people are still saying, oh, he's old, or oh, he can't go, or I mean, I don't know what they're watching other than they're just hating on Edge. Because this dude is one of the bona fide shining spots on every show as of late. That he is on anyway. Edge is one of those shining spots. A true, defined superstar. We throw that around for every wrestler, right? Every wrestler is called a superstar. But the way Vince books these motherfuckers, they're far from super. Edge is super times dose. He's double that and then some. I really enjoyed. And this is a simplistic segment, man. Face-to-face promo, a little bit of physicality. It's known as a teaser in the business to get you to your pay-per-view. And I just... Simplicity is all you need sometimes. You don't always have to move mountains to create a good show or good segment or have a good feud. Sometimes if you just do all the little things correctly, you're going to come up with something awesome. Next up was a debuting Toni Storm. She defeated Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega got what we call in the business the jobber entrance, which is no entrance. I do believe this was just time management. You know how Vince views the female division anyway, the women's division. Vince puts no real stock into it. I mean, he has his favorites, and that's really it. So with the Rolling Loud and all that was going on, you know that they were running into some time restraints, and you knew that the women were going to eat the blunt of it. And sure enough, it's Toni Storm that's debuting, so Zelina is going to be the one who ain't getting an entrance. And some people think, you know, with Aleister Black now, Malachi Black being in AEW, Zelina will be punished per se. And some people are still on the Zelina sold out, so good, she deserves this type of booking. Listen, Zelina's putting in some of her best fucking work, bro. The promos that she's been doing with Liv Morgan, like when they were on the commentary table with booth. What is that? Fucking kissing booth at the carnival? A commentary booth. You know, fucking booth, BC. The commentary table between Liv Morgan and Zelina, man. I love that, man. When Zelina Vega was mocking Liv Morgan, and then they both dropped the headset, and they just started going at it at the commentary table. And I mean, I was like captivated by that, man. You got these little spitfires just going at it. I love that. Money in the Bank, Zelina Vega had a really good performance. Most of the ladies in there, man, the women's ladder match, the performances were pretty solid, and Zelina Vega was a big part of that. And then last night, even though they were only allotted a couple of minutes because of time management, and that's Vince for you. Zelina Vega put in a good match with Toni Storm. So, we can complain about her booking all we want, and sure, we hope that it gets better and that she gets more opportunities and W's along the way. But let's not act like Zelina Vega, with what she has been given so far, let's not act like she's not tearing it up and really, busting her ass and doing good. So, I mean, there's some people that still want to drag her, man. I still see people trying to call her a sellout. And I'm like, what joy do you get on calling this 30-year-old woman names all the time? Like the same thing over and over, calling her a sellout 6,000 times. What joy is that really bringing you? Like you know her, or you do her finances, or she ruined you because she re-signed with WWE. I just don't like hypocrites, basically. I don't like hypocrites. She's a sellout. What do you mean hypocrite? How many times do I have to fucking say this? Nobody's unionized. Just saying I stand for unionization, that doesn't mean I'm never going to work for a company that is not unionized. That is like saying I am vegan and working at a fucking supermarket that sells meat. You just said you're fucking vegan. But you're working in the fucking chicken and beef aisle. Well, she has to fucking be employed. He or she. They can't work at the supermarket because it sells beef because they're vegan? You can support something and still fucking make a living. Nobody's unionized in pro wrestling, so according to your standards, you don't want her to work anywhere. Now, basically, it's because she went back to the same company that mistreated her. How do you know how she's treated? Seriously, how do you know how she's treated? Of course, the booking can be better, her first go around and now. Some people feel because Aleister Black went to AEW, Malachi Black, that Zelina's gonna be punished, like when Rusev went to AEW, Miro, and Lana went through 10 weeks of tables. Right? So, who knows? Of course, the booking can be better, but how she's treated? You're upset because she went back to a company that treated her poorly. Well, how do you know how she's treated? Aside from the booking, which the entire roster can be booked better if your name is not Roman Reigns. You act like she's being taken out of class, taken into the principal's office, the blinds are going down, and she's getting her fucking ass whooped with a ruler. Bad girl! Bad girl! Bad girl! Now go back to class. That's mistreatment. Maybe she's having a ball backstage. Maybe she's having a fucking hoot. Maybe she just got a huge payday by re-signing. Good for her. That's called going to work, collecting that cash. When you grow up, you'll learn something about it. Anyway, let him hate Zelina. I got you, girl. Toni Storm over Zelina. Main event was Jimmy Uso versus Dominic Mysterio. Okay match until the finish. It was supposed to be a reversal into a, damn it, an awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating, fruit roll-up. But they botched it 4 times. I love it. It's karma, right? You want to keep giving fruit roll-up finishes? This is what you're gonna eventually get. This is karma kicking them right in the fucking square in the ass. They tried to do a reversal into a fruit roll-up. They could not get it right. They tried it again. They're fucking flubbling over each other. 4 times later, man, they finally get it. Jay, gets into the ring a little bit and, puts his feet on the back of Jimmy or some shit, so there's, more leverage. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is you're holding down Dominic. And this is a finish that we see all the time in this fucking company. They just hold somebody down, and this pro wrestler cannot get their shoulder just a centimeter off the mat. It's ridiculous the way it's used. The fruit roll-up back in the day was used when 2 warriors went to war, and after 20, 25, 30 minutes, they were so exhausted that when they were shocked with a roll-up, they literally had no energy to kick out. That's what the roll-up, that's where its origins came from. Nowadays, we're seeing it in not just 5, 10-minute matches. We're seeing it in 2-minute matches, 60 seconds, 20 seconds, right? The bell just rings and there's a shock roll-up. No, it doesn't work if you're fully ready for a wrestling match and you haven't even done anything yet. It doesn't work if it's 5 minutes into the match because, dummy, you still have your energy. That's what pisses BC off. They took the roll-up because it does have a place in pro wrestling and it has to be used very sparingly, right? Very few and far in between. Once in a blue moon, the roll-up has to be utilized. Once a month, I can do. Once a week is too much. That means both shows, Raw and SmackDown. That's too much. Once a month is justified, which means all the producers, everybody has to be on the same page. When a roll-up is done, those producers need to know, do not use that in their match. Now, not only are we seeing it every week, every show, more than once in a show most of the time. That has ruined it. And it's making these wrestlers look like absolute idiots, man. I have seen, in this month alone, I've seen monsters like Bobby Lashley. Even T-Bar. I know the guy's a fucking goof now, but I still remember Dominic Dijakovic. This dude, I have so many, man. Shayna Baszler more than 20 times. And this is one of the baddest women on the planet, or how she should have been booked as such. I'm seeing these type of people getting fruit roll-upped. And some people that are okay with it. Oh, whatever. It came out of nowhere, basically. I hope if like Baron Corbin, I hope if somebody comes around to steal $80 from you and they fucking take you down and they pin you down to get that $80, I hope that if they're just holding you down in like a roll-up, I hope that you can kick out of that, son of a bitch. Not just your shoulder. I'm hoping you totally fucking can get fully out of that, son of a bitch. Because if somebody's gonna jack $80 from you and all they're doing is holding you down roll-up style and you can't get the fuck up, you have sad issues. It's not realistic to somebody like BC. If it is for you and it's no harm, no foul, that's awesome, man. Keep living in that rainbow world. Jimmy Uso beats Dominic. There's nothing else really to talk about there. Roman Reigns comes out afterwards. And he says, no, I'm not going to. I don't see you, John. You're right. I don't hear you. I don't see you because I don't want to hear you. I don't want to see you. I don't ever want to see you. Your answer is no for SummerSlam. This brings out Finn Balor. Balor says, well, you don't want to accept Cena's challenge. How about you accept my challenge? Paul Heyman is like laughing and he's telling Roman something like maybe this could be fun, you know, like maybe you could absolutely make a joke and a statement out of this dude. So Roman says, I accept. And we never really hear that it's for SummerSlam, and Michael Cole makes it a point when they're going off the air to say Roman accepted Finn Balor for a one-on-one match. And he goes to say something else, but he's like reluctant and he refuses to say anything more. And we fade to black and go off the air. They stayed away on purpose. You guys go back and you listen to Cole. He chose his words carefully. They stayed away from SummerSlam. It makes me wonder, do they not have their plans set in stone? Might they go somewhere else, like Balor versus Roman at SummerSlam and John Cena gets somebody else? Will they maybe turn this into a triple threat schmaz match? We know Cena has a big project movie coming up. Did a liability issue come up and Cena cannot go a full one-on-one, what we talked about at the Jump in the cold open with The Rock? And why that one-on-one championship match, there's a possibility that could turn into a multi-man schmaz, or at the very least a tag team match. So The Rock doesn't have to work too much, and the production company, Hollywood, will be happy and keep the lawyers happy. Is this a scenario where something came up, or has this been known all along? So Finn Balor needs to come in and be the workhorse. That could be a triple threat concept coming up, and they're setting that up. Balor could take on Roman next week for all we know, and it's still going to be Cena and Roman somehow. Again, with the weeks winding down, that match isn't official. Are you going to make that within 2 weeks? All these questions, man, so we do have to find out, but I honestly believe Vince doesn't even know where he's going yet. The way Michael Cole sent us off the air, they made it a point to say that was not for SummerSlam. Interesting. And you got to believe with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk over to AEW, now they want to showcase somebody like Finn Balor. Yeah. Oh, now you want to do something like that. Interesting timing, Vinnie Mac. But it's going to be interesting to see what they pull off here, man. Roman Reigns accepts Finn Balor's challenge, but they never said for SummerSlam. BC told you from the jump, I was never sold on Cena and Roman again. Obviously, on the mic, they'll make it fun. Storyline-wise, they'll make it fun because they won't let Vince ruin it. Roman has pull, and obviously John Cena has pull in that company. So they won't do anything over-the-top goofy that's going to ruin the feud. So I'd be okay with it, and the match will be decent, even good. We can hope for really good. I don't think it's going to be a great match. You know, because we've already seen it. We've already seen them together. So we know what they can do. It's not like this is the first time we've never seen it. It's not like a dream match where we've never seen it before. But I was against it because we already know that John Cena is going to lose, right? He's not beating Roman for that championship, or he shouldn't be. Roman should definitely be keeping that title way past SummerSlam. So if John Cena's coming back just to lose anyway, why to Roman, who doesn't need this victory over John? Roman's already established. John Cena should be putting over a talent that could really use this, man. I always said Aleister Black was the perfect person. So what does Vince do? He releases Aleister Black. Aleister's not even with the company anymore. But that could have been a fun feud, and Aleister could have had a monumental victory that would have put him on the map, even to the casual fans. But instead, Vince released him. But you could pick somebody that could really use a big-time monumental victory over somebody like John Cena, who was going to do a job anyway. But instead they went Cena Reigns, or maybe they didn't. After last night, it looks to be up in the air. I would have Cena with somebody else. Time is running out, though. Who would it be? Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns? That's a fun fucking match for SummerSlam, especially when we already know Roman is walking out the winner anyway. No harm, no foul. The feud will be fun going into SummerSlam. The match will be fucking great. I think match-wise, guys, I think Balor and Roman would be better than Cena and Roman. Yeah, Eric Rowan's coming back. He'll be taking on John Cena. But I think Balor's would put a better matchup with Roman. But you could have a lot of fun with it, and I think that's a fun way to go about SummerSlam. But maybe they're going to stick with Cena and Roman, which, again, I'm okay with. I just wouldn't have gone that route. I would have had Cena separate from Roman. In the future, if you want to put them back together, that's fine. I don't know why people feel they needed this at SummerSlam. As long as they're on the card, that's going to make SummerSlam special. You didn't need to put them together because to BC, it just doesn't make sense. They're not even utilizing the Cena's going for his 17th championship storyline. So people are like, oh, BC, it makes sense. He's going for his record-breaking championship. They're not even saying anything about it. And they're not saying it because we know he's going to lose. So he came back to WWE just to put over a guy who's already the most over guy in WWE. It makes zero sense. We still might get it, but don't be surprised now if it's a triple threat and Balor's in there to not only be the workhorse, but also to take the L. We've seen this before many occasions where they add somebody in just to be the fall guy. We've seen Asuka do it a million times, unfortunately, because Vince only sees her as the fall girl, you know? Even when he gave Asuka a championship, she was just there to hold the hand of Lana and then Charlotte Flair and to give everyone else a rub. She never had any singles matches for the title. And she's your singles champion. But she was always going after tag titles every fucking week because she had to make Lana relevant and give the rub to Charlotte. Vince doesn't see anything in people like fucking Asuka, so she was always thrown in the triple threats to be the fall gal. You know? Don't be surprised if Balor's in a triple threat and he's just the fall guy. You know, protect Cena a little bit so Cena maybe can have another match or two in the future. Maybe even this year. I don't know. There's all these question marks, man. I guess that's a good thing. But because we know how Vince is so erratic and he's ripping scripts up and he never really plans anymore for the future, I don't know if all these question marks are a good thing anymore. Not with this company, you know? You like to think they have a plan and this is fun, right? Like when you watch your favorite TV show. Every episode ends, you know that they have a plan, right? It's already been written. It's already been filmed. Some fun shit is in the future. With this shit, you have question marks and you're like, well, I don't know where this is going. Because the owner doesn't know where it's going. And it kind of ruins the fun. Because you're just thinking about the million ways they're going to fuck it up, because that's their MO. I'm BC Amplified. Thank you for joining me for this week's SmackDown 7/23/2021 review. Much love and respect to all you guys. Coffees and ass whoopings. Make sure you destroy this weekend, man. Make it your personal bitch. And always stay subscribed and notified. I always come out with impromptu videos, podcast, audio format, sometimes like this if I'm out in the world. And if you're subscribed and notified, that's your best chance to get BC's impromptu bonus videos. Either which way, we'll be right back here doing the Raw review next week and so much more as we inch closer and closer to SummerSlam. Much love and respect, guys. Red team, go! Amp unit, put 'em up! Check you later.